All praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. The stream is brought to you by L.I.V.E. Live now. We're live now. So I want to talk a little bit about what Max Kellerman said about pound for pound lists. I also want to talk about the hypocrisy of Max Kellerman when he mentions, Errol Spence versus Jamal Charlo. And again, this dude just keeps on raging his racist antics and his racist bias, and it's really disgusting, but it is what it is. So let's start off first with the pound for pound nonsense that this dude be talking. He talked about how he disagrees with ESPN's pound for pound list in the last 25 years, where Floyd Mayweather is pound for pound number one on the list. And he comes with his bullshit argument about Manny Pacquiao once again being a better pound for pound fighter than Floyd Mayweather. And Ryan Garcia, who is, again, we dealing with non-black people, right? Ryan Garcia and Max Kellerman, they conspire to start spinning a whole set of bullshit for the ring. And then the other interesting thing is the black person on the only black person on that panel, he starts arguing for Floyd a little bit, and they try to shut him down. So let's get into it. We have to deal with these people on a regular basis and their bullshit. Max Kellerman's argument is that Manny Pacquiao went through all these weight classes, and he didn't duck or dodge anybody. That's a lie in and of itself. Whereas Floyd, he picked and selected who he faced. So let's just look at it. Let's talk about it. Floyd Mayweather, as you say, oh, no, wait, not the Floyd that faced Gotti, because, he's working with Top Rank at the time. So when Floyd started to pick and select, he picked and selected his people. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Floyd Mayweather, up to the Arturo Gatti fight, was with Top Rank, right? In fact, after the Gatti fight, I think with Zab Judah, after the Zab Judah fight, he was on his own. Now, let's just look at it. Manny Pacquiao, he was the lineal flyweight champion. Nobody says no. Great stuff. Moved up. So he beat the man at flyweight, basically, WBC champion. Then he moved up to, he got knocked out in flyweight a couple times. And then he moved up to super bantamweight. Okay. Now, did he fight the man at super bantamweight, the super bantamweight champion at the time? No. But he did face a champion in Leo Laduaba, surprised the whole world, and was introduced. He then went on to fight another fighter, another world champion, and that fight was squashed because the champion kept on butting him, and he had a rough and rugged fight with that guy. Forgot his name. Okay. So at super bantamweight, he did not face the very best. Moves on to featherweight, where he beats Marco Antonio Barrera, who was the very best at flyweight. He also was introduced to Juan Manuel Marquez, fought to draw with Juan Manuel Marquez. Okay. Moves up to super featherweight. And he fights, ends up fighting the best super featherweight there, which was Juan Manuel Marquez. He rematches Juan Manuel Marquez, and he beats Juan Manuel Marquez this time. He had a draw with Marquez the first time. Second time, he fights a slim win. Okay, so he bounced up the same guy basically. Then he goes on to go up to lightweight. And does he face the very best lightweight in that division? Absolutely not. He wants no smoke with who is the best lightweight in that division at the time. Juan Diaz. Joel Casamignour was the next big lightweight in that division. Jose Luis Castillo already moved up. So you were looking at Joel Casamignour or Juan Diaz. Did Manny Pacquiao face either of them? The guy who beat I can't remember the guy's name for nothing. But Marco Antonio Barrera fought him. You guys know who I'm talking about? Forgot his name. Anyways, that guy got beat. He was coming off a loss when he faced Manny Pacquiao, and he beat Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm talking about now? I hope so. Anyways, that's the guy he faced. Oh, shit. His name came and then just disappeared on me. It's okay. Sometimes I draw blanks. So Manny Pacquiao did not face the best lightweight in the lightweight division. He would jump up from lightweight, go to welterweight, face Oscar De La Hoya. And guess what? Oscar De La Hoya was not the best welterweight in the division either. But Max Kellerman wants to give credit to Manny Pacquiao. He said, don't duck and dodge nobody. He faced the very best. Yeah. Well, was Oscar De La Hoya the very best welterweight? He wasn't even at welterweight. He was at super welterweight. Right? Was David Diaz the best lightweight? Was Lejo Ledwaba the best super bantamweight? Why did he face the best super bantamweight? Why didn't he face the best lightweight? Why didn't he face the best welterweight? All right, goes up and faces Oscar De La Hoya, who is not a welterweight. He's a super welterweight at this time. Came down to welterweight, fought Manny Pacquiao. Okay, cool. After he beats Oscar De La Hoya, what does he do? He goes down to super lightweight. But guess what? He's facing a Ricky Hatton that got knocked out by Floyd Mayweather. And that Ricky Hatton that he faces at super bantamweight, at super lightweight, doesn't hold a title at all. Who holds the title at the time? Yeah, he was a lineal champion by default, but he'd been knocked out 2 fights before. Okay, so he faces Ricky Hatton. After that, he jumps back up to welterweight, and he faces not the best welterweight in the world. He faces Miguel Cotto. The best welterweight in the world at the time is Antonio Margarito. Doesn't face him, face Miguel Cotto. He beats Miguel Cotto, who was the WBO champion, to win the WBO belt. Okay, this is the Miguel Cotto coming off of the Antonio Margarito cheat, where Antonio Margarito beats up Miguel Cotto. He barely gets past the African kid from Ghana, right? You could argue the African kid from Ghana beat him. And then he faces Manny Pacquiao. And he has to have a catch weight to fight Manny Pacquiao. For what reason, I don't know. But Pacquiao beats him. Fine. But was he the best welterweight in the division? No. Okay. So he beats Miguel Cotto. Cool. Then he goes on to face who? Who does he face next? He faces Joshua Clottey, the guy who arguably people say beat Miguel Cotto. And Clottey was a good fighter, but was he the best welterweight in the division? No, he wasn't. Who was the best welterweight in the division? Shane Mosley. And what did Manny Pacquiao's team do? They turned down the fight with Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley turned around and beat the crap out of Margarito. Mosley's the first guy to beat Margarito. Well, shall I say, on Margarito's run. He'd been beaten before. But he's the first guy to beat Margarito straight up. Right? Another guy who beat Margarito, if I'm not mistaken, was Paul Williams beat Margarito. I believe that was before Shane Mosley beat Margarito. But anyway, Shane Mosley beats Margarito. Moves on. He does not face Shane Mosley. Who faces Shane Mosley? Floyd Mayweather faces Shane Mosley. While Shane Mosley is the number 1 welterweight in the world. Not Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao goes on to face Shane Mosley after Shane Mosley is beaten by Floyd and is no longer a champion. So show me where in welterweight Manny Pacquiao has faced the best welterweight in the division. He goes on after beating Shane Mosley to face, I believe it's Timothy Bradley, and Timothy Bradley beats him. He then goes on to face Juan Manuel Marquez yet again, and Marquez knocks him out. Where in this equation has Manny Pacquiao faced the best welterweight in the division? I just want to know. So far, he hasn't. And then Floyd becomes the best welterweight in the division when he beats Shane Mosley. And Manny Pacquiao does not take up a fight with Floyd Mayweather, the former pound-for-pound number 1 fighter. Yet Manny Pacquiao, for some reason, is pound-for-pound number 1 in the world. But Max Kellerman will like to let you know Manny Pacquiao is a better fighter than Floyd Mayweather. Pound-for-pound list should be above Floyd because of all the weight classes he went through. But in all those weight classes he went through, he did not face the very best fighter every time. Yeah, he did it at flyweight. Yeah, he did it at featherweight and super featherweight. Yes, he did. But he didn't do it at lightweight. He sure as hell didn't do it at welterweight. And guess what? He didn't really do it at super lightweight either. So we're still at welterweight. Manny Pacquiao still hasn't faced the best fighter. He's got knocked out, all kinds of shit. He goes on to face Timothy Bradley. He beats Timothy Bradley. He faces Brandon Rios, we don't even know why he's facing Brandon Rios. He faces Timothy Bradley, beats Timothy Bradley. Then the whole world is saying, Manny Pacquiao is ready for Floyd Mayweather, the best welterweight in the division, the true lineal champion in the division. And what happens? He gets his ass beat. He steps up to the plate and he gets beaten. He goes on, after being the loser, like Max Kellerman likes to say, the loser, he goes and faces a guy he beat already, Timothy Bradley. They fight for the vacant WBO title because they stripped Floyd of the title. Wouldn't be called Manny Pacquiao. They say he was another lineal champion after that. They stripped Floyd. Floyd's the true lineal champion. Manny Pacquiao beat nobody to become lineal champion because he faced Timothy Bradley. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. He didn't beat Floyd. He's no lineal champion, but they gave him lineal championship. Floyd goes on to fight Andre Berto and retire. And so they say Manny Pacquiao is a lineal champion for his fifth weight class or some shit like that. But the bullshit is Floyd's the lineal champion, not Manny Pacquiao. He then goes on to face a number of young fighters. Kudos to him. He beats them. Goes on to face Jeff Horn, who's an unknown guy. Jeff Horn beats him. He comes back, he rebounds, and he faces, but he's never faced the number one fighter in the division, ever in welterweight. He's never. When he faced Keith Thurman, Errol Spence was the number one fighter in the division because Errol Spence had beaten Kell Brook. At welterweight, he only faced the number one fighter one time. And guess what? He got beat by that number one fighter, which was Floyd Mayweather. He was supposed to face Errol Spence, but he ended up getting beat by the Cuban fighter. When he faced Antonio Margarito at a catchweight, Antonio Margarito wasn't a champion. They were fighting for the vacant WBC title. Now, let's look at Floyd Mayweather. Super featherweight, beat the number one champion twice. Lightweight, beat the number one champion twice. Super lightweight's the only division Floyd Mayweather was in that he did not face the number one fighter. He fought the number two fighter. Pacquiao's never faced the number two fighter in any division that I talked about where he didn't face the number one fighter. So, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather goes on in welterweight, as we know, to beat the number one fighter at welterweight. Then he faces the number one fighter in Miguel Cotto at super welterweight and beats him. And that's how Floyd became lineal champion. Then he faces the number two guy, which was Canelo Alvarez. So when I hear this bullshit that Max Kellerman's talking about, oh, Floyd picked his fights and, he never faced the very best, that's bullshit. Y'all not supposed to listen to that dumbass guy called Max Kellerman with his racist bullshit. Okay? Max Kellerman doesn't know his head from his foot. And don't tell me about all the divisions Manny Pacquiao went through. I don't give a fuck about that. Ask yourself this question. Floyd Mayweather, if he's to go through different divisions, pound for pound, who beats Floyd Mayweather? And the answer is, we don't know, because there is no answer of how to beat Floyd Mayweather. We don't know how to beat him. But we know how to beat Manny Pacquiao. We've seen it a number of times. Dennis Ugas with the right hand and the jab. Floyd Mayweather with the right hand and the jab. Timothy Bradley with the right hand and the jab. Marquez with the right hand and the jab. Counterpunchers give Manny Pacquiao the fits. Expert counterpunchers. That's why he had fits with Marquez. So we know what is needed to beat Manny Pacquiao. We don't know what is needed to beat Floyd Mayweather. Pound for pound, there is no way on God's green earth You're telling me in any kind of shape or form that Manny Pacquiao is better than Floyd Mayweather. First, he didn't face better opposition than Floyd Mayweather. And two, actually, the accusation that Max Kellerman is putting at Floyd of picking fights and all that bullshit really should be pinned on Bob Arum. Because guess what? Manny Pacquiao ducked Terrence Crawford. He ducked him. And what did Bob Arum say? Oh, I want to preserve Manny Pacquiao. I don't want Manny Pacquiao facing Terrence Crawford. Manny Pacquiao and Bob Arum refused to do random drug and urine testing for Floyd Mayweather. In 2010, he ducked Floyd Mayweather too. Then they try to project like Floyd Mayweather ducked Manny Pacquiao. And then Max Kellerman's lying by saying that Floyd said to him, I try to, pick the right fights and all that. And it's really, my legacy is not just about the fights I fought. Get the fuck out of here, man. So what are you saying? Andre Ward is pound for pound less than Canelo Alvarez? How could he be? Who beat Andre Ward? Are you saying that Andre Ward also picked his fights and he ducked and dodged fighters? Because those allegations don't hold water when we start to look at the facts of the situation. Andre Ward, pound for pound, is a superior fighter to Canelo Alvarez. Period. We know how to beat Canelo. Terrence Crawford knows how to beat Canelo. Because he don't got good feet. He don't have good cardio. He's explosive and all of that, but he don't got good feet. He's James Toney and a Mexican look. Terrence Crawford's going to beat Canelo because Canelo's feet are going to fail him as usual. That's the reason. We know how to beat Canelo. We've seen it with Bivol. We've seen it with Floyd. Close fight with Lara. Caleb Plant almost pulled it off. We've seen it. We know what he has problems with. So when I can figure out how to beat a fighter, and I can execute that because I have the tools and skills, you cannot be pound for pound above me in no damn list. Matt Kellerman needs to shut the fuck up with his bullshit narratives. We don't want to carry boxing back into the arc ages. We don't want to be in the caveman mentality. The Jim Lampley and the Larry Merchant bullshit that his brother's bringing to the table. Yes, we want exciting fights, but we also like the sweet science. And if you don't like it, you can go shove it up your ass. Now, with respect to something else I want to talk about, which is a false narrative. They say Scottie Pippen, I've heard this so many times. I want to talk a little basketball with you guys. Scottie Pippen, they say, he wasn't as good a player without Michael Jordan. That is the biggest crock of horse shit I ever heard in my life. Scottie Pippen and Ron Harper, Tony Kukoc, they flourished when Michael wasn't there because they started scoring and putting up numbers. Scottie Pippen, I just watched the match with Scottie Pippen and the Suns. Scottie Pippen put up 35 points. Tony Kukoc put up 17 points. And Ron Harper had a good game. He put up, I think it was 18 points or something like that, 20 points. Why? Because now they were able to score, and Scottie is a guy that will distribute the ball. Scottie Pippen led the league in steals and blocks. I remember Scottie Pippen putting up some serious numbers also with the Portland Trail Blazers. These are all lies. They're all false narratives that we have bought into because we never looked into it. But when you look into this shit, Scottie was the guy that shone brighter than Michael Jordan. He actually was a better player than Michael Jordan when it comes to team sports. And the teams he was on, they went further than when Michael was on a team, and he was putting up good numbers and everything, but he wasn't getting the team to get over humps. He wasn't getting players to develop the way how they're supposed to be developing. That's the truth. We bought into so much media bullshit over the years. Smash the like button if you're in here. And I'm now seeing the truth in this thing. And I just realized Scottie Pippen was a great player who knew how to get his team to perform. And even when they made mistakes and they made blunders, he didn't come down hard on them. He just said, redeem yourself with the next play. That's a guy you want to play with. You want to play with all day. Now, I understand why Michael Jordan always picked Scottie Pippen first. It's because Scottie Pippen was that kind of player that tried to help you bring out the best that you needed to be in a game. And he wasn't a guy that was like trying to harp on certain things over and over and over and berate you for them. No, he's like, you made that mistake. Fine. You can get a chance to redeem yourself. Make sure you redeem yourself. If you keep on making a mistake over and over and over, then you're not growing, so we can't feed you the ball. But if, we're going to send it to somebody else who can, but I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself. So that's what I like about Scottie Pippen. And he was a great team leader, and he was a great leader. And he was actually the backbone of the Bulls. Without Scottie, Michael wasn't going to do what he did and the success he had. And Scottie's a guy who was really unselfish. When Michael won all those MVPs, some of those MVPs Scottie Pippen should have won, like all defensive player. He should have won some of those MVPs because he was the guy that was setting up those plays to make the steals that Michael got. He was moving guys into the defense so that those situations should happen. He was the orchestrator of all these things. Scottie was a brilliant player, and that's why Phil Jackson used to gush about the dude, because Phil Jackson knew what Scottie Pippen actually brought to the table. Don't get me wrong, Michael Jordan was a great player, and he did a lot of great things, but he really benefited heavily off of the hard work and the dirty work sometimes that Scottie Pippen put in. And to call Scottie Pippen second and to call him Robin, it's derogatory. Michael should never have done that. And he knows better. He knows fucking better than to call Scottie Pippen was the guy under which Michael Jordan built his career, period. Without Scottie Pippen, he wouldn't be what he is. And I hear everybody talk about Michael Jordan don't look real and they like to worship him and shit. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I don't worship no man. You know what I'm saying? Michael was a handsome dude, looked good, dressed well and all of that. He was a perfect package. They packaged him really well for marketing and advertising. He's older now, but you know something about Scottie Pippen? You don't see that guy in the headlines like Michael. Michael was a product, so he had to look a certain way. He had to carry himself a certain way because he's in ads, he's in everything. You know what I mean? He had the star quality about him, right? Because they manufactured his star quality, right? And even now, Michael doesn't give a fuck about that shit, to be honest with you. He and Scottie see eye to eye on a number of issues, which is why I don't understand why those two, professionally at least, I don't care how they feel personally about each other, but professionally, combine that resource that they have. Scottie Pippen came from a small town, humble beginnings, and a humble guy that worked his way for everything he got. He worked his way for everything he got. He heard it the hard way. Michael Jordan was a guy that was always the underdog and had to prove people wrong. So these two guys, in a way, that duo is always great. Okay? Michael Jordan liked to say Scottie Pippen had more confidence around him. Nah, not really. Scottie Pippen did his things his way. But the duo, those two together, with the two different ideologies and theologies of things, they were unstoppable. Say what you want about it. I think being different from each other in ideology, but yet very similar in terms of mentality to win, is what made those two great. But Scottie Pippen, on the other hand, he dealt with people differently to how Michael Jordan dealt with people. And I guess Michael Jordan learned off of Scottie Pippen, that awareness. I'm sure Michael Jordan was aware of it. People say like Michael Jordan was aloof with his players and stuff like that, just like how, a lot of players hated Kobe Bryant. This is the reason why players didn't like Kobe Bryant. It's because he used to hug the ball too much. And Phil Jackson used to say, pass the fucking ball. He did that to Michael Jordan too. Michael actually listened that eventually, because Michael always liked to have the ball in his hand. And as you see in The Last Dance, he likes to figuratively have the ball in his hand. He still ain't grown up enough to realize, hey, this is a manufactured thing they're trying to get you to say. And you just need to let the truth come out there. And if it look ugly, so be it. But truth is better than fiction. Truth is better than manufacturing something. When something's organic, when you allow things to be organic, you benefit more. That's why I try to tell the truth about Michael Jordan. I'm not trying to sugarcoat nothing, because I want you to see his greatness. I want you to see also his greatness in the context of his team. And one of the greatest players to ever grace the basketball court is Scottie Pippen. And no, he's not second to Jordan. He's like, you in a relationship, you have a wife, she giving you the blueprint on how to do things, and you getting the success and the fame. Michael Jordan owes Scottie Pippen all the money and the fame and the shit that he got, because without Scottie Pippen, none of that would have happened. Okay? I'm tired of motherfuckers only focusing on Michael Jordan without mentioning Scottie Pippen's name. His name is synonymous with Michael Jordan. It is Jordan and Pippen, or Pippen and Jordan. That's how it's supposed to go down. And it is a grave injustice to Scottie Pippen. And to tell me he's just in the top 25, no, motherfucker. If you put Michael Jordan as the GOAT, then you have to put Scottie Pippen as the GOAT. Because they played on a team and they both contributed tremendously to that team. They were the foundation of that fucking team. It wasn't Michael Jordan was the foundation. It was Jordan and Pippen was the foundation. There's no other way to put this. And I'm tired of motherfuckers out there leaving out Scottie Pippen and disrespecting him. Because everything Michael Jordan said is what Scottie Pippen is saying now. They are equal in mind in terms of they understand. Michael Jordan had to get beaten into him by Phil Jackson. Scottie Pippen understood it. Phil Jackson didn't have to fight Scottie Pippen on that. Okay? Scottie Pippen embraced that. He understood his team sports. You know? If you're talking about the greatest player of all time, you can't talk about that in basketball. And Michael Jordan understands that, and Scottie Pippen understands that. It's the stupid casuals out there. Michael Jordan said it himself. It's a dumb question. Who's the greatest player of all time? That's a dumb question. But if you ask me who's the greatest team of all time, and that's where Michael Jordan is the GOAT. That motherfucker knows what is true and what is not. Knows what's bullshit and what is not. When John Solly was saying that Michael Jordan never bought into the GOAT shit, he literally said it himself. He said that's bullshit. That's dumb. The greatest team of all time. He right. So is Scottie Pippen. There is no GOAT in basketball. There are prominent players. There are players you may know. You know, there are players that stand out. Michael Jordan's a player that stands out. Scottie Pippen, not so much, because Scottie Pippen does stuff in basketball that if you understand basketball, you realize how much stuff he's doing. He's kind of like that nuanced guy, because you will see the score and how creative they are. And then the way how the announcers will, really, cheese up that person, right? Because that's the star player, right? That's the franchise player. But when you start to pay attention to the other players, you begin to see, oh shit, a lot of people sacrificed a lot to make this team look the way and perform the way it is. Ron Harper was the major scorer for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the LA Clippers. Bill Cartwright was a major scorer for the New York Knicks. Tony Kukoc came from Europe. Major scorer, major defensive player, could play with either hand, left or right, in Europe. Steve Kerr was clutch in any team he was playing with. Hence the reason he coaches the Golden State Warriors, and he got them to several championships, because this dude was clutch. Okay? These are incredible players. Dennis Rodman, a very famous guy. I'm trying to tell you that Scottie Pippen, incredible player, period. And we saw after his championship wins how he led teams to close to getting championships as well, and victories, lots of victories, because this dude was special. You can't get it every single time, and somebody you have to wait 2-3 years, and if you don't got injuries, you're good to go. You know what I'm saying? All those things you have to think about with Scottie Pippen. But again, Scottie Pippen's career, if you look at the actual facts and what he's done for teams, it's far superior to Michael Jordan's career. Period. Okay? So I just wanted to say that because I don't like how they're treating Scottie Pippen. That's why I speak so much about Scottie Pippen. I don't like how these people treat Scottie Pippen. They try to flip narratives and they try to justify what Jordan's saying. When Jordan is giving his point of view on things, it's not necessarily the reality of the situation. It's his point of view. The Last Dance is his view of what happened, right? But honestly speaking, some of his view is wrong. And I had no problem in saying that. They don't line up with the facts. And so, it's good that he gets his opinion and his view of the world and his perspective of things out there. I'm not really mad at him for that. What I'm mad at is when you misrepresent the truth. You know what the factual situation was, and you bring it up like you try to make Scottie Pippen look like he was nothing and he couldn't lead the Bulls to the victory, but you could. You never led the Bulls to a victory, not by yourself. You never did. So stop the bullshit. Why are you getting all this praise when you never, with any team, got to the semifinals ever without Scottie Pippen? Only with Scottie Pippen, you were able to win championships. Only with Scottie Pippen, you moved to the next level. You've never got to the next level, never, without Scottie Pippen. Meanwhile, Scottie Pippen got to the next level without you. So how are you a greater player than Scottie Pippen? I don't care what they say. How are you a greater player than Scottie Pippen? No, I got to tell the truth. So you can't belittle Scottie Pippen. You can't. This is a Batman and a Superman thing. If you want to call Michael Jordan Superman, you want to call Scottie Pippen Batman, I'm cool with that because they're equals. And anybody trying to tell me that Scottie Pippen not equal with Michael Jordan, y'all out of your fucking mind. They're equals. After 1991, they were equals. Scottie Pippen was under Michael Jordan a bit. Michael Jordan learned things from Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was trying to learn. He came into the NBA to learn. He's a humble dude. But don't get it twisted. Michael Jordan could do nothing without Scottie Pippen. Now, I wanted to say this to set the record straight. I'm so glad that those two work together. The relationship of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan is the best relationship professionally I've seen between two players. And I commend them on being able to work together. Unlike Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan had similar work ethic. They had similar goals. That's why they were able to do what they're doing. And they were humble enough to realize when they had limitations and let the other one take over. And they talked with each other all the time about basketball. That's what I think is brilliant about those two. And they were the two leaders of the Bulls. And Jordan was smart enough and understanding enough to know when this Scottie Pippen team and when he came back, because it was a brand new team and they knew Scottie Pippen, they related with Scottie Pippen better. Now, the players didn't like Michael Jordan for a bit, understandably, but you have to understand something. Michael Jordan played a role with the Bulls, whether you like it or not. Call him backup, call him whatever you want. He had to do what he did, and that was important for the Bulls to get to where they were going. Okay. Now, do I particularly like his approach? No. But that approach, though most times not effective, was effective for certain people who needed to step up their game. Now, as I said, bullying certain players and doing what he did with certain players, I don't agree with that, obviously. But I do believe the way how the players viewed him, even though they did not like him at times, they respected him. And I think that respect is because I think that he had to toughen them up a bit. He had to toughen them up a bit so they could get past the Knicks, so they could get past the Pacers, so they could get past, to get to the championship level. So whether you like or agree with everything he did, it was necessary to get that team to see the opposite. Because what Michael Jordan was basically doing was psychologically now taking them to a place where when they go against these opposition, this particular opposition, was there a different approach that could be done to overcome that opposition? Absolutely. Scottie Pippen already had the approach that was necessary. And again, his approach didn't work for everybody, right? It mostly didn't work for most of them. But again, they banded together kind of against him somewhat to prove him wrong. And at the same time, they sort of banded together even more with him, with respect for him, in that, Michael Jordan would chastise people. Again, this is not anything new. If you ever play street ball, that's how it goes down. So Michael Jordan wasn't doing anything outside of street ball to the players. So, to make him seem like this demon or something, he wasn't that. Okay, it's just some of the players, they don't respond to that because they didn't grow up in that environment. Michael Jordan grew up in that environment. So certain players would be like, when Scottie Pippen say certain things about Michael Jordan, they'd be like, what are you talking about, man? Michael was cool, man. Michael helped me out with this and that, because that's the background they come from. Whereas other players, Scottie Pippen was intuitive enough to understand those players don't respond to that shit. You know what I mean? And that's all. But at the end of the day, he was necessary. And his attitude, added to the part, whether you like it or not, was necessary for them to push to the next level, to get that championship level. And so I think in a way he's right, and in a way he's wrong, and I think he started to fine tune it and started to realize, oh shit, because he had the drive to want to win and overcome, but he had to understand you had to connect with the other people, and you don't know them like that. And he admits to some of that in the Luke Longley special. But you got to understand, that's just the way he was as well. He as a person, that's the way he is. That's just the way he was. And you'll meet people who are assholes. And yes, he was an asshole to some of them. And we know this. Right? But that's part of it. You have to deal with these people in life. And in a way, Luke Longley and all these other guys, yeah, probably wasn't necessary, for example, him to treat Luke Longley. I'm sure he started to adapt and change and realize, oh, that don't work, right? Certain people, it just don't work. You trying to chastise them and remind them of their mistakes don't help them, don't inspire them. Other people, they're like, what? Oh, yeah? Oh, you saying this about me? Okay, I'm going to prove you wrong, right? So different people, different strokes for different folks, and you just have to know them. That's why he said this is Scotty's team, because he was trying to, he's trying to do things, but he realized, oh shit, I need to talk with Scotty, or I need to just observe my surroundings and observe these people before I start to put this pressure on them. You know what I'm saying? But he knew his contribution was to put some pressure on them, to toughen them up even more mentally for the challenge of the Knicks, so they could get over that hurdle. And for Scotty to temper him down so that he don't lose his cool on certain things. Even though Jordan was very fiery, he also was kind of clever in how he was fiery in games, so he didn't get technicals and shit like that. Whereas Scotty, when he started to put that fire on, a little too much, so you'd end up with a tech or something. You know what I'm saying? But and it's a psychological game. So Michael was able to add his little contribution to the team, and it was very important. And everything, when you really start to reflect back on these things, all those things are very important. And you may not be viewed as a nice guy in the whole thing. You may be viewed as an asshole in the whole thing. But at the end of the day, when people reflect on it, they'll realize, okay. Yeah, he was an asshole, but he was an asshole that had a purpose behind what he was doing, and he was trying his best, to be effective. And hopefully they appreciate that. And yes, he makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. He's not an angel or anything. But you got to get by that stuff at some point. Man, I got family that be assholes to me and stuff, and I've been an asshole to my family. You got to forget them at some point and just keep moving it on. Because I'm telling you, Michael Jordan right now, he's the head of the Bobcats and stuff. Maybe sometimes talking on behalf of them. And I feel like somehow this is just my opinion. I think Pippen and all of the Bulls, his former teammates, I feel they should be bouncing ideas off of each other. Phil Jackson, all of them. They should be bouncing ideas off to help out Michael, with his team, to get that teamwork back. And similarly, they should be doing the same for the Bulls, So that's why, anyway, that's what I got for you guys. I'm what you need. You guys have a good one.